We are starting learning SQL by looking at a singular table. That means we will apply the query language in order to extract information from one single table. And first of all, let me give you the general idea behind that. And so this is this one, and I will do the following. I will copy that over here. So from a conceptual point of view, we are doing three things on the table. We select columns, we filter rows, and we order the resulting data. And if we draw a picture, it could be symbolized here in that way. We have our overall table, for example, the employee table, and selection means taking columns, filtering means taking rows and ordering to rearrange that. But in essence, we extract a rectangular subset of the table, yeah? A rectangular subtable in some sense, yeah. And since SQL is a language, it will be phrased with specific keywords, and this is the general structure of a query, of a basic query that we are now going to work on, that we are going to understand. So we have the keyword select, and that's about the selection. That means we provide a list of output columns. How that is done, we will see in a moment. Then we have the keyword from, and that means that designates the table from which we take the data. Then we have the keyword where, and after that where we have something that's called a condition that used to filter. And then we have the keywords order by, and we provide a list of columns to perform the ordering. Now that's our general structure, and so let's do it. Yeah, with respect to our employee table, for example, and I will just do it here in the DB visualizer, and I will send the SQL statement. I will put it into the chat so that you can copy it over and can execute it on your own system. Yeah, so let's start with it. So select and from, yeah, and we take the employee table. Yeah, the case, if it is capital case or lower case and so on, doesn't matter here in SQL. Yeah, if I write employee with a lower case here, yeah, it's the same as when I'm writing it here with an first letter capitalized and so on. Yeah, actually I prefer lowercase because it saves me typing, but that's completely matter of taste. No? And let's take the last name, yeah, and let's take for example the salary, yeah. And let's take all records of let's say where the org unit is 1, yeah, for example. And then we have a semicolon, yeah. So I execute everything here. Table of view not, so we get an error message. table of view not existing here, yeah. And the reason is the following. If you look here on the right hand upper side here, you see there's something that's called a schema. And if you connect with the database, you are in some sense in your own database, in your own schema. That's a technical term for that. And this company data model here, yeah, that lives in a different schema. So we have to switch to that schema, yeah. And that schema is called U Company MBA, yeah. That's for you MBA, for the MBA students here, yeah, the English version. And so that this is now the schema here, yeah. And if I execute it again, yeah, we get the result set here. All the stuff that I put here in the chat, all the queries, yeah, please collect them and store them in a file on your own computer, yeah. Just do not just leave it in the chat, because after the
Yes.
session is closed, the chat is gone away.
Yeah.
So please copy everything to your own file. That's all stuff that you can use, for example, in the preparation of the examination and so on. Then you can repeat everything, yeah. I will put all the solutions and all the things that I'm doing here, I will put it into the chat. Okay, so I hope all of you now have been able to execute that query successfully. And now, of course, that's the more or less most simple one, of course, yeah. And nevertheless let's again look at it, yeah. So that's our basic kind of stuff. The ordering, I haven't done the ordering, yeah. So let's, for example, assume order by, yeah, and let's order it by last name, yeah. If I order it by last name, as you see, nothing changes, Miller and Sanchez. But if I would like to have it the other way around, so I would like let's do it with the salary, yeah. So that was ordering according to last name, but I could also order for, of course, just a moment here. But I could also order it according to salary, yeah. And then, of course, the other way around here. But assume now that I would like to have the largest salary first. So I would not like to order it in an ascending way, but in a descending way. I just can put in the keyword desk, yeah, descend for descending, and then it's the other way around, yeah. So ordering could take place in any direction, yeah, either ascending or descending. Standard is ascending, yeah, and you can change it to descending. So that was our general structure. You see we have extracted that rectangular shape here, yeah. And now let's take a closer look at the output. And at the example that I have shown to you is in such a way that the output are exactly some of the columns that are part of the table. But that's not the only thing that you can do within the output. For example, you can also do some kind of calculation within the output. And in order to do so, let's start first with the hire date. First of all, I I have in the output the hire date, yeah. Maybe that's something that can you add on your own. The concrete output here of the hire date of that column, yeah, that depends a little bit on the locale and so on. That might be different on your computer, but as long as you can see that the correct date is shown there, independent of the concrete representation, everything is fine. No? You see that the Oracle date also contains the time here. Therefore, we also see the time information. Yeah, so that's for different database system that's all is all handled differently. Yeah, but here in Oracle it's that way. So now let's assume we would like to figure out how long somebody is within the company. Yeah, that's the hire date, and today we have the 16th of April 2021. Yeah, and we would like to see how many years somebody is within the company, and that requires some kind of calculation. And in order to do that, let's first add something that is built in within the database. Yeah. So that's the current date. So if I execute that one here, yeah, and I put it here in the chat. Yeah. You see that I also have added here a column that is completely independent of the table. Yeah, that's a system value here, and nevertheless I can just do it here in the output. And of course, every record here has the same value with respect to that. Yeah, so let's do the following. Yeah, let's remove that one here and just take all records. Yeah. Yeah, now we see all the information here, and you see all those here, or employee records have the same value in that column. Actually, that's some kind of calculated column here, yeah, or generated column. So what would you do? What should be done in order to get the amount of years somebody is within the company? What's the general idea? Not the concrete syntax here, yeah, how it is done, but how would you do it from a logical point of view? How would you calculate that?
Current date minus date of hiring and it into number of years. That is why.
Yeah. So you would take the current date and the hire date, and you would calculate something. If I want to have the number of years, do I subtract directly the dates, or what I'm going to do?
Number of days we can divide it by 365.
In Excel, I guess the years we could get years directly because there is a date format, but I'm not sure about SQL.
Yeah, so but that's the correct idea. We just take, first of all, we take the year of the hire date and of the current date. Yeah, and that's a little bit clumsy to do that. In the syntax is a little bit special in Oracle because it's called extract. Yeah. I will put it in the chat in a moment. Yeah. So let's first execute it. You see there that looks promising here, yeah. If you look at the column names here, yeah, they look a little bit strange here, yeah. So it would be better to just to give them more sensible names, and this is something that could also be done in Oracle, you can simply tell the system as, and then you say higher year, for example, yeah, and here you say current year. No? Now the column look much better. So now we have extracted the corresponding years. Yeah. And the only thing that has to be done is the following. Take a minus sign, but let's do it as follows. Take the current year minus, and let's call it years. Yeah.
Professor, what's the difference between the select command and extract command?
Yeah, just a moment. I will put it in the chat here. What is the difference between the select and the extract? Let's rearrange it a little bit in order to answer the question here. Yeah. The select here, that's a keyword. That's a keyword that starts the whole query. And the extract here, that's a function. That's a function that you apply on a column. And applying a function to a column delivers you some kind of value. Yeah, that's a difference.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
So we see that the output, the list of output, is not just the simple list of columns that are within the database, but there could be calculated values in that list, and therefore it's called output columns. Now, output columns could be the input columns from the table, but they could also be different. They could also contain calculations. Yeah, that's an important thing here. Yeah, and let's see what else could be done. So that's an important aspect. For example, let's assume that the salary is stored in dollar or so, or it's stored in euros. Then you can also multiply it by something in order to get the values in a different currency. Yeah, you can you can do all kind of calculations, also with respect to numbers. Yeah. So that's that's an important point here of the list of output columns. Yeah. Okay. So now let's look at conditions. Yeah. So if we take all our if you just want to get a look of the whole table, you can just have as a short. You can just write the following. Yeah. Select star from something. That gives you here. That gives you some kind of. With that you can show all columns and all rows of a table. Yeah. So let's assume we would like to filter all employees that have been hired at a specific date, for example. Yeah. So then we can just add here, and that's okay. We can leave it as it is, but let's remove that one in order to shorten things. Yeah. And let's also output the employee ID. So let's take all the employees, where, yeah, and hire date, yeah, equals, and then in order to talk about a date, you have to put it in single quotes, yeah, and let's see how that works. So so I got an error message. Yeah, expression is missing here. That's typical error that you have a comma here at the end. Yeah. So if you get an error message, always please look at your select statement that the entries within the select statements are separated by a comma. So the comma is a separator. It's not an end symbol, but it's a separator. It separates the different output columns. Yeah. So let's again try this here. Yeah. And now this is a typical situation that has to do with date values that always is a little bit nasty. The input here must look a little bit different than the output. That is has something to do with the configuration, and I assume I have to do it as follows. So I have the German locale here, and therefore the tool here, the DB visualizer, do some kind of magic behind the scene. Yeah, and I put it into the chat, and I'm not sure how it works on your computer. Maybe you have to use the English version, or so year and then month and then day. And I'm not sure about the separating special character here, if it must be a point or a slash or something like that. Yeah, please experiment in order to get your query working. Yeah.